Morning. Like many others, I woke up this morning and first checked my phone like you do when you check your tweets and all that sort of stuff. And the first thing I saw was something posted several hours before about the sad passing of Mr. Ian Kilminster, better known as Lemmy. One of those people that I thought was indestructible. Everybody thought was indestructible. He was 70 years old and he'd obviously lived a very good life and an interesting life, which I'll obviously touch on in this video. And I thought, if you're going to make a video about something like that, someone who's sort of been there all my life, obviously, and one of those sort of characters, as I said, you feel was indestructible, just seemed to be going on forever. And we all know, what he did during his life, or certainly some of the aspects of what he did during his life, the drink and the drugs and all that sort of smoking and, and obviously the rock and roll lifestyle, which he lived to the full. The only other person I can think of who's anything like him is Keith Richards, and God bless him, he's still here, thankfully, as well. And those two, I think, are two people, yeah, we look up to them maybe sometimes for the wrong reasons. They embody and sort of epitomise that sort of rock and roll lifestyle, and they've come through the other side. So many others have tried to emulate that in one other way or another, and they just can't do it, can they? Many are called but few stand up, or whatever. They've certainly done that. And there's that old story, I don't know how true it is, could be apocryphal, of course, about Lemmy, especially. I think Keith Richards is the same, that he was told not to stop drinking, because if he did stop drinking, it would actually kill him, because his body has got so used to those sort of toxins or whatever going through his body. Well, it made me think, actually, because I've been going through some of my vinyl singles, and I thought, what better way to talk about that particular man, and to say even some of what he did. And I'm no expert by any means, but as I said, he's been there throughout my life. I saw Lenny play with Hawkwind back in the day, a long time ago, and I remember, I think that was in Tunbridge Wells, I saw that, and also on that particular occasion, Stacey was there, the dancer. Now, if anybody in my age will know, just Google her and have a look. You'll know exactly why we remember that particular gig, and they were so pleased that she turned up, type of thing. But here we go. Look, this is their most famous song, I suppose, Hawkwind. This is Silver Machine, and I bought this single. This came out in 1972, I think it was, and it was recorded live at the Roundhouse on February the 13th, I can tell you. So this is what we get with records these days, kids, well, in those days, should I say, and sung by Lemmy. I didn't realise that Lemmy was the vocalist on this particular song, because his voice does sound a little bit different, but it's the most popular song that they ever recorded. Whether that's worth anything, I've just realised, I've just noticed it's got my name on it. Well, I actually bought it off a school friend. There you go. Now the next one, obviously, over time, Lemmy played with Hawkwind for a long time, and those who don't know, he actually started off in the mid-60s up in the Manchester area. I think he was born in Stoke. It'll be out there now, everybody will know. And he played in a band called the Rocking Vicars, I seem to remember. But he also did a bit of roading. One of the people he roaded for was actually Jimi Hendrix. So he had that instilled in him. He was there right through that whole sort of period of change, through that sort of Summer of Love and all that sort of stuff, but with Jimi Hendrix. But also he went on to influence other people as well. Now this is another single of theirs. This is Hawkwind. This is a song called Kings of Speed, and a single, and I can tell you when I bought it. I bought it on the 29th of April 1975. I can even tell you it's the 216th single that I ever bought. But the B-side of this is a track called Motorhead, written by one Ian Kilminster and recorded in January of 1975 at Olympic Studios. As far as I'm aware, the first time that particular song had ever been recorded, as I said, and that came out in 1975. Now, Lemmy left Hawkwind, I think he was asked to leave because of certain issues. I seem to remember trying to smuggle drugs across the Canadian border or something like that. It was like that back then, and he carried on that way. But then he left and he formed the band Motorhead after that particular song. And this is their first ever single that I'm aware of, and this is actually released on the Stiff record label. Called Leaving Here, which was an old Dozier Holland song, like Motown-y sort of song. And the other track was called White Line Fever. Motorhead, White Line Fever. Yeah, you know where they're coming from. They're setting their stall out pretty early on. I say it's one of the first ever singles on the Stiff record label. Stiff by 9 it was, and I remember buying this actually when it came out, which was in 1977. So there you go. And 1977, as lots of people will also know, is a big time for sort of punk era, and that was essentially a bit of a punk new wave record label, was the Stiff record label. And the other thing that Lemmy did, because of the way that he just played, he used to say, you know, we are Motorhead, we play rock and roll. That's what he did. He played music. He didn't care about genres or anything like that particularly. He played what he wanted. He always played that same sort of thing. Even Hawkwind have got that sort of, you know, power to them, and then that sort of hit you right between the eyes type of thing. And he continued that with Motorhead. Didn't care for fashions or anything. He did exactly what he liked. I suppose Keith Richards is the same in that respect as well. They just stayed true to their word, true to their roots, true to their beliefs, which is one of the reasons that I think he is so well respected and will be remembered as well for that particular reason. He lived life his own way, and he lived a life. You know, you can't dispute that. Most of us all want to do different things, but he did exactly what he wanted to do. He lived his life his way, and he went out, you know, as he did at the age of 70, and he managed to go through it. Well, obviously Motorhead then released a track called Motorhead, and this is a single. They moved on to the Chizik record label, and I've got this one on here as well. And when did this one? I think this was 1977 as well. Yeah, 1977. This one came out, and I'll read the line. You probably know. It's got all the lyrics on the back for those who aren't aware. And you can probably still find these. I'm sure these are online. But these, as I said, this is the song that was recorded by Hawkwind back in 1975. And then this is, as you can see, this is the classic lineup of Motorhead with Filthy Phil and Mr. Clark on the guitar as well. And also, sadly, Filthy Taylor died not long ago, the drummer. So, you know, sort of two of the original three of Motorhead. I still believe Mr. Clark is still around. I certainly hope he is. But I just say written by Mr. Kilminster, and I'll just read the last particular verse. It says, 4th day, 5-day marathon, we're moving like a parallelogram. It's not easy to say. Don't move. The morning's not a pretty sight. I guess I'll see you on the ice. I should be tired, and all I am is wide. Ain't felt this good for an hour. Motorhead, remember me now. Motorhead all night. I think we certainly will remember him. And so one of the songs we will remember him for is this one. Ace of Spades. It's got a great, I love that picture on the back, which I think they used on the album as well. Their most famous song, and the one that always gets played on the radio, it's a bit like Hawkwind. You know, he's stuck with Silver Machine, although he was the singer on it, and Motorhead are stuck with that particular song. And like both bands, they recorded a lot more besides. This one's actually on the Bronze record label. They moved on. So there you go. That's my sort of little own personal shrine, I suppose. I've got a few more Hawkwind singles over there. I never actually bought a huge amount of Motorhead music, but always loved the stuff. And as you can tell, you know, I bought the early stuff, and I've sort of followed him. You couldn't escape the man, could you, really? So I was going to say rest in peace, Lenny, but no, I don't think you want that. I saw someone post that on Facebook or wherever on social media earlier. I think it's more a case of rest in noise. That's what he would want. That's the way he would want to go out. And I don't think you want anybody to particularly feel sorry for him in any particular way. I know his ending wasn't particularly nice, but you know, he only found out a couple of days before he died that, you know, he was very, very seriously ill. I know he hadn't been in possibly the best of health very recently, but as I said, he lived a life very full of full of lots of things. He did things exactly as he wanted. So rest in noise, Mr. Ian Kilminster, aka Lemmy. Maybe you're digging your stuff out. If I had some Jack Daniels, I'd actually raise a glass to you right this moment. But as I said, he's going to live on in rock and roll folklore. I'm sure that you'll be telling your kids about, or your grandchildren about, because they'll still be playing that sort of music. Because it is, as I said, that even the Hawkwind stuff, we're still listening to Hawkwind now. It's pretty timeless because it was true, and they did what they wanted. No fashion statements or anything like that. They just did what they wanted, and that stuff stands out better than anything. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for your time. Speak to you again some other time. Goodbye.